Whiskey and Whoop Ass, Solocast, take, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, however many takes this is. How you guys doing? It is Tuesday, October the 10th. It's our first Solocast, my first Solocast in a while, our first cast of anything in a while. Adam and I have both been really busy, and we've not had a chance to put any kind of content out. So we talked a couple of days ago and decided that we're both going to put out a solo cast this week. I'm doing mine tonight. Adam's doing his on Thursday night. Hopefully next week we will get back to our normal Friday live cast where we're both in talking some MMA. Tonight, just for a few minutes, I'm going to go over a couple of things on UFC 216, events coming up. A little bit of what's on my mind UFC wise. Since we're not going to get to do the thing together, I'm going to stick my solo cast to UFC. 216 was this past weekend. My wife and I were out of town, but we did get to catch 216 in the hotel room. Pretty good event. The last three fights is really all I'm going to talk about. Verdun, easy win as it was with his fill-in fight. I was kind of disappointed in this one. I was looking forward to Verdun and Derek Lewis. I'm a huge fan of the Black Beast. I thought that was going to be a better fight than what it was with the fill-in. As it was a pretty easy submission win for Verdun. Mighty Mouse, what can you say about this guy? Broke Anderson Silva's record. He now owns the record for the most consecutive title defenses. The finishing move, I'm supposed to be watching my mouth. What do you say about the finishing move that Mighty Mouse did? Oh my Lord, it was amazing. I don't like the fact that he overclasses everybody at 125. He needs to move up. We'll get to that in a minute. But the finishing move that he did, oh my Lord, I don't know how the dude pulled that off. It was an amazing move, submission win, great win, broke Anderson Silva's record. Congratulations, Mighty Mouse. It's time to move up. You have cleaned out the 125 division. You own the record. There is no one left in the 125, regardless of what you said on Ariel's program yesterday. There is no one left in 125 that can challenge you. Move up. Time to go to 135. Take on Cody. Take on No Love. Take on TJ. Take on somebody that poses a threat to beat you. Main event. Big Ferg. Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee, you impressed me. I did not think a lot about you going into it. I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan, and I thought you were a clone. You had modeled everything that you have done, everything that you were doing after Conor. You were trying to talk like Conor. You were trying to act like Conor. But you managed a 19-pound weight cut with a staph infection. Mad respect. It took twice. It took you 2 different times. You got on the scale, didn't make it, took your hour long, came back and made it. I don't care. When you can make that kind of weight cut with a staph infection and then get in the octagon, I have a lot of respect for you. First round, Kevin Lee owned. He caught Ferguson with a couple of shots, caught him with one, then knocked him off his feet, got him on the ground with some vicious, nasty ground and pound that if you get a referee with a quick trigger finger, I guess he could have called the fight there at the end of the first round. I mean, he was beating the hell out of Ferguson there at the end of the first round. The problem is what people run into when they fight Tony Ferguson is if you don't get him out in the first round, Ferguson's cardio is unbelievable. So he comes back in the second round stronger, and because Kevin Lee put so much into the first round and he was dealing with the staph infection, he was a little gassed going into round 2. Round 3, Ferguson wins with, Darce choke, leg chair, whatever that thing is that he ended up winning with. And becomes the interim champ. Got on the mic, called out Conor. Up until a few days before that fight, I was of the opinion that Conor's next fight was going to be Nate Diaz, was going to be the third Nate Diaz fight. The third Nate Diaz fight represents a lot of money, a lot of interest, probably would set some pay-per-view records for the UFC, and considering the UFC has to pay Conor a lot of money to get into the octagon now, I thought that was the way that it had to go. Well, in listening to the post-fight press conference, Dana White said that was never a serious option. That's bullshit. That was a serious option. But for whatever reason, it's not anymore. Conor did one of his pay-per-view interviews a couple of weeks ago in Glasgow, and he said, and I'll give him credit for this, he said there's a certain amount of legitimacy that needs to be brought back to the division. To me, that says Conor was going to take on the winner of that fight before that fight ever happened. So, having said that, the next fight, whenever it may be, is Conor and Tony Ferguson. As a Conor fan, that fight scares the hell out of me. There are ways that Conor could land punches. Kevin Lee knocked him off his feet, caught him with a couple of shots in the first round, knocked Tony off his feet. If Kevin Lee can land it, you can bet your sweet ass Conor's going to land it. The question is, can Conor hit him with enough times to where he can finish him? If Conor doesn't finish him in the first or second round, history shows, and man, I got to be honest, Conor's out of gas. Conor's out of gas in the third round, and Tony Ferguson is a freaking machine. He gets better in the third round, fourth round, fifth round. I do not like this fight. I do not like the way that this sets up. Coach Owen Roddy was on, I believe, Submission Underground or Submission Radio or something. He did an interview yesterday where he stated that Conor was too technical and too clean, and he felt like if Ferguson stood with Conor, that Conor would pick him apart and eventually put his lights out. Okay? That's his striking coach. He knows Conor way better than I do. That fight still scares me. If Conor can connect and knock him out in the first couple of rounds, great. Wonderful. That's it. If he doesn't, I don't know that you can fix Conor's conditioning and stamina issues in that amount of time. He also stated that Conor has been taking care of business issues and new business ventures that have came about since the Mayweather fight, which he needed to. He deserves it. He deserves the money that he got from the Mayweather fight. He's investing those the right way. He's starting new businesses. He has been busy. He has not been in the training room. So whenever this fight happens, and I was of the opinion that it was going to be December the 30th, maybe it still will be, maybe it won't be, but Conor has not been training. So does he start now? If this fight is going to happen on December 30th, it's going to have to get signed, agreed to, whatever, within the next week to 10 days, because we are however many weeks out. Conor needs to get back into training camp. Conor needs to get back to work. So Coach Owen Roddy thinks that this will be first part of next year. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. We'll have to see. But I think we'll have some clarity on what Conor's going to do within the next week to 10 days. If this fight does not come together within the next week, I'm not going to say 10 days. If this fight does not come together this week or first part of next week, it's going to be first part of next year. You can scratch December 30th off of your calendar. It's not going to happen then. There's too much going on. He has been outside taking care of business. He's got to get back in shape, get back in the gym. So If this is not agreed to and announced what's coming out by the end of this week, first part of next week, it's going to be first part of next year. That doesn't mean that the end of the year card is going to be horrible. There's some good stuff that's kind of rumored for that. I'll get to that in just a second. Moving on, what do we have coming up? We've got Cowboy versus Teal coming up. That's going to be a UFC fight card that is on UFC Fight Pass. I'm a Cowboy Cerrone fan. I don't know that much about Darren Till. I know he's 15-0-1 or something like that. I know he's never lost, so he presents a challenge for Cowboy. It's across the pond, which you've got to deal with time change and new training area and all of that. That'll be interesting to see. Got another one after that, which, excuse me, I've got to look because I cannot remember what the other one is after that. You got Derek Brunson and Lyoto Machida that's coming up after that. And then we're on to the New York City card. And the New York City card to me is a little underwhelming. I'm not excited about the GSP and Bisping fight. I'm really not. There are some fights on that card that I'm excited about. Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw is going to be an absolute war. That is going to be a classic. That is going to be a great fight. I am in the room with my wife, who is a huge Joanna Jędrzejczyk fan. So I have to mention that. Joanna is fighting Rose Namajunas. I can't see that being much of a fight. I think Joanna wins that hands down. I don't know that there's anybody in that division that can give Joanna a run for her money. She's going to have to move up or down to find somebody that can. That's a bad woman. That's good Lord. She runs over everybody that she fights. I'm not having that card in front of me. There's a couple of other good fights on that card. Let me find the 217 card because there's a couple of other good ones. Oh, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Jorge Masvidal. That's another good one. So there's some good fights on the MSG card. I don't think it's as good as last year was. That was headlined by Conor and Eddie Alvarez. Probably because I'm a Conor fan, but the MSG card is good. The early December card. That just came out. That's headlined by Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar. That's going to be a good fight. December 30th, that's the one that was kind of earmarked for Conor's return. If Conor doesn't return for that, Holly Holm and Cyborg, they're trying to make that fight. I think they end up making that fight for that card that either headlines that card or is the co-main if Conor ends up putting something together. Good Lord. I like Holly Holm. I'm a Holly Holm fan. I think she presents some problems for Cyborg. I think. But we'll see. And if the Conor thing doesn't come together for December the 30th, then it'll be first part of next year. Here's the thing that you got to think about Conor. If Conor somehow figures out how to beat Ferguson, so you take that Ferguson fight out, now what are you left with? You're left with the Diaz trilogy. If he wins the Diaz trilogy, now you have beaten Ferguson, you've beaten Diaz. There's nothing left to prove. Nothing. The haters can't say anything. Well, he didn't defend. Well, he didn't do this. Yeah, he just beat Ferguson and he beat Diaz for a second out of 3 times. This time next year, we could be saying goodbye to Conor McGregor. If that happens, who carries the flag? John Jones is off dealing with whatever John Jones is off dealing with. We still don't have any news on what's going to happen to him. DC's going to fight whatever dude's name is. His nickname is No Time, but that's not going to carry any kind of high pay-per-view numbers. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next 12 to 14 months in the UFC as to who carries the torch, who can get up to that 750, 800,000, 1 million pay-per-view buy. If Conor finishes everything out, he decides to ride off into the sunset, which you can't blame him. Dude's made his money, get out of there, make your money and get out before you get brain damage or anything like that. Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje are locked up in the Ultimate Fighter. They're going to fight as part of the early December card. We'll see what happens with that. I'm impressed with Justin Gaethje. I think Eddie Alvarez is at the end of his rope. He's done a really good job coaching. If you guys haven't watched The Ultimate Fighter, Fox does these things where they do a marathon and they rebroadcast all of them. Go check that out. It's been a really, really good season. It's not about those two. It's about a new women's division. But Eddie Alvarez has really embraced the coaching aspect of the game. I think he may have, I don't know him, don't have any contacts to him whatsoever. But I think he may have found what he wants to do next. He is a really, really, really good coach. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't like his chances against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is an animal, and I don't think that you can knock him out very easily, but that'll be a good fight to watch. So lots coming up the end of the year. UFC is going to be a really, really good next 2 months. We'll see what happens. That's pretty much all that I've got, guys. I'm going to jump off here and spend some time with my wife. Adam's going to upload his video on Thursday. I was going to throw some fishing stuff on here because our solo videos were supposed to be a little bit different, a little bit more towards who we are and what we like versus the time that Adam and I spend together on the couch talking about MMA. But I may go a different direction with that one next year. It just depends. The thing about having YouTube and some of these platforms where you can broadcast and you can do so many things is you can get lost and go in so many different directions. And I already have several things that I'm committed to, so I may not get to do that. But we're going to get to a more consistent basis where Adam and I are putting out our videos on Friday like we're supposed to. We apologize to you guys, all 6 subscribers, and anybody else that views this channel. We apologize that we haven't put out any content in the last couple of weeks. We're going to get back to normal putting out content on that. We've got some great MMA coming the rest of the year, so you guys hang tight, check it out, and Adam will be putting out his video on Thursday. You guys have a great week.